All right. I got to be real careful what I say and don't say on this one because there's still agreements that have been signed, even though they're several years old. I don't want to take any chances, to be honest with you. So, this is how I started writing movie serializations for a B movie company out of Hollywood, California. This is going to take me a little bit because I gotta figure out what I can and cannot say. If you've ever signed a what do they call it, NDA, you know that some things you're not allowed to talk about. Still, so here's the thing. I was trying to think of what year it was. Probably going back 15 years now. It was the reason working with them was the reason I became a full-time author. So maybe it's 2010. Yeah, about 2010. I'm in a relationship with somebody that we don't like each other. I'm sleeping on the couch, she's sleeping in the bedroom. We've been doing that for about a year and a half. My son and her son are both living with us. They get along. We don't get along, but neither of us has any money to do anything. Um, I had just been laid off from my job. I'm looking for another job at that point. I want to be a full time writer at that point. She wants me to go out and get a job and be miserable and, house and way picket fence, the whole thing. We're renting a place. They're throwing us out of. The guy wants his house back, kind of thing. He turns the water off on us. Okay. She she finds another place for her and her son. I end up going back to my parents with my son. So as we're still in this house, we still got like a couple weeks. I just put out, I think, Dying Days 2, maybe Dying Days 3, my zombie series, which would eventually be 9 books. And I'm writing a bunch of stuff. I'm starting to just get stuff out there. 2009 is the Wild West of Amazon. If you remember, there's like 50 zombie books total on Amazon. Now there's like 50 a minute that get added, even though it's not a big thing anymore. Anyway, I'm doing that, and I get a message and then a phone call from a publisher. And this guy says, "Hey, I'm friends with one of their authors at the time, okay, online, and they basically say, hey, we're looking for authors to write for a movie company. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah." What's the what do I have to do? And of course they're like, "Well, have you written serialized thrillers, spy thrillers?" I'm like, "Of course I have." Sure I have. Let's do this, Hold on one second, because the book that I'm going to talk about is right here. I just realized I have a copy. I was like, yeah, I can do that. What do you need? And they're like, they need 12 stories written as if it's an episode of a TV show. They are going to sell this as a series. Going to sell this as a season. And the company's idea, the book not the Hollywood company's idea is, if we have this written as books, it's further copyright protection for the idea. Not necessarily true. I'm not going to argue because they've offered me a lot of money. At that point in my life-changing money. I could pay off my car. I could pay off all my bills. I would basically I would have money. I would still have several $1,000s in the bank. Okay. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. Oh yeah, I can do that. Not a problem. So I end up writing what became. So this is the idea for this was based on. Remember the Miami thing where the guy ate bath salts and became a zombie and started biting people? That's basically the thing. But their idea was that it was the Russians. They had the Russian zombie gun was making people into zombies, and so our thriller hero had to go and stop it. And that's the idea. So it's Miami spy games, Russian zombie gun. and it's inspired by actual events. So there's the cover for it, and it was originally in 12 different parts. They sold it in 12 different parts, and they put it all together. And so yeah, Miami 2012. So anyway, and this is a very big book, 363 pages, still available. A.K. Waters was the guy who he ran everything. So he's the one who basically came up with the idea, and I ran with it. So that was my start. I made really good money. I was able to pay off all my bills. I'm literally at that point in my life. I'm in my 40s. Yeah, I'm in my early 40s, and I'm living in my parents' dining room, so my kids can have the bedrooms. And so I do that book, okay, and it doesn't sell well enough, honestly, for them to make a TV series out of it. But no matter, because these guys are like, we're gonna make we're gonna shoot movies now. We're gonna shoot this stuff. Why sell it to somebody else when we can do it ourselves? So they start coming up with ideas. All of them are like zombie ideas, and they're like, we're gonna do all different things. So you're not gonna be able to see this, but I gotta pull up, because there was a couple of books that I did for them that I don't even remember the names of them, but they're books that are out. So it's not like you can't look these up and simply look up these books and I don't know, purchase them. If that's your thing. So anyway, as I'm looking, so basically they just start kind of throwing ideas at me, and they're like, all right, this is the next thing we're doing. Okay. This is the next thing we're doing. Okay. And so I ended up writing 14 different things with them. Okay. And most of them are going to be zombie things. And it was their ideas, and I would be on the phone, and they would be like, okay, so we need this scene, and we need this, and these are the characters, and on and on. And a lot of them, the actors in these movies were mostly people that ex-military guys that the guy running it had served with. And so, okay, whatever. So sometimes I would talk to them on the phone. Sometimes I would talk to him, on and on. There was one point where I hadn't written anything with them for maybe like 6 months. And I was getting to that point where I was like, kind of getting a little frustrated here, because my books weren't selling at that point. I didn't have a ton of books of that. I have 200 and something releases now. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I remember I was dating my wife now. I was dating her at the time. We were sitting having dinner, and she said, she's like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I needed money at that point. Something had come up, maybe with one of my kids, whatever. And literally, as we're middle of dinner, my phone rings. I wasn't even going to answer it. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is the movie guy. And they call me, and they're like, all right, here's your next book. And I was like, all right, well, I need half the money up front and half the money when finished. And boom. And that was good, because, again, I came into this relationship. We've been together since December of 2012. We first started dating. I came in this with not having any bills or anything, which is nice. So this is one that we did called the Louisiana Incident. Former Navy SEALs versus Zombies. Apparently it has 1 4-star review. There's no real cover, and Kindle edition is $9.99. Okay. That was one of them from back in the day that I did. I'm not even sure that any more are even up. All right, so here's another one. Zulu 6 Origins. It's actually on Kindle Unlimited, and it has 3 reviews, 4 stars. So that one went live. Now, so that's 3 that I've written for them so far that were published. Oh, football espionage, espionage during a football game, and I remember they were sending me videos of all kinds of cloaking devices, all kinds of military high tech at the time. 1 review, 5 stars, 5 stars. So that's 4. Number 5 is zombie football. That's right, zombie football. Exactly what you think it is. So apparently I wrote a couple of football books back to back for them. There's Zulu 6 Origins again. What else did they ever publish? This is the funny part because I don't even remember what they published. Miami Spy Games, the Russian zombie gun one, had 17 reviews, 4 stars. Man, I'm looking at some old books I released now. Back in the day. Well, I'll have to do a thing of that at some point. Anyway, so those are the books. Those are the books that were released from them. So 5 or 6 books out of the 14 I wrote. And a lot of them were just Navy SEALs versus zombies. Basically, that was it. A couple of times they were actually filming the movie, and they would send me the dailies of the movie as they were like, here's some more scenes from that we filmed today. And this is the part where we do this or whatever. Okay. And I was just like kind of writing the novelization, serialization of the movie. And I'd already gotten, I only once that they actually give me a script. So I wrote it off of the script and basically just used their dialogue throughout that. That was an easy one. I also wrote another book for one of the guys who was part of this. He was a showrunner for a pretty big show on Showtime. Can't say anything else. His wife wanted to write a military romance. So she wrote this like 1,800 word military romance thing. And she was like, oh, I want to make this, I need to make this longer. I want to make it into a book. And her husband said, no, we don't do that. We pay other people to do that. They ghostwrite the book and we put your name on it. And so they contacted me. They said, can you write a military romance? And I said, of course I can. Piece of cake. Because, I didn't turn anything down at that point in my life. I needed the money. And so I wrote this thing, and it was, if I had any hair, I would have pulled all my hair out. It was not fun to write. Let me say that. I mean, it was every cliche, and it was a romance. And I write this book, and they paid me very well. They paid me more than my going rate at that point for other books. It's like 40,000 words. I won't tell you how much I got paid, but I got paid pretty good. And we got ahead again. Every time I got paid from them, it was several $1,000s that we were able to bank or able to, let's pay some more on the mortgage. Let's whatever, let's go have a dinner. Let's go to Taco Bell tonight, And then this book came out, and it's got a super cliche title to it, which I can't legally say. And it went to, when it was released, it went to number 1 on all of Amazon for like 3 days or 4 days. On all of Amazon. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I knew if I put that out, there was no way it was going there. But because of her husband's name and the show, and of course they had to put that on the cover or whatever they did. Maybe just in the advertising. I don't even remember seeing a cover or remembering the cover. Anyway, that came out. I got paid very well. I'm not complaining like, oh, they made more money. No, that was fine. They never came back to me, though, to do another one, which I thought was weird. At that point, I'm like, I'm just going to write military romances for these people. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I want twice the amount of money now because you guys are obviously going to make money on this. Never happened. So over the course of maybe like 6-7 years, I wrote like 14 different books for them. And obviously about half of them got released and the other half did not. And sometimes they would throw an idea. A couple times they would throw an idea. Here's the idea. All right. I'm like, okay. So I would sit on the phone with them and I would take notes. I would just write notes on what they wanted. A lot of it was the same stuff. There's a couple of scenes that literally were in every single zombie one, which I'm not going to talk about here. But if you've ever hung out with me, I will tell you what those scenes were. Anyway, then I did it. So they give me an idea for a book. Okay, boom, send me the half of it up front, and I'll write the book. I'm like, I don't know, 5-6 chapters into this. Like a week later, they send me another. No, hold off on that one. We need this one done because we're going to make this into a movie. Okay, send me the money up front. They send me the money up front. I write the entire book. I send it to them. I don't hear a word from them for like 6 months. Nothing. No text messages back. Nothing. I don't get my second part of that book. So then I say, well, where's my money? And then they send me the money. Nothing. No word, nothing. Just boom, here's your money. So I'm good. I've already been paid for a book, half of a book that I just stopped writing because you never. And at that point, if they had said, hey, we paid you this money already, I would have been like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. So then they gave me like 3 or 4 other books they wanted me to write. Bang, bang, bang. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get a phone call. Hey, we need these 3 things done. Okay, well, you got to pay me. I never get paid. I never start the books, and I never hear from them again. As far as I know, they've never released. I know they've released one of the movies because it was on Netflix, and I can tell you the name of that movie because although I don't think my name is on anything. I'm gonna tell you, I can't tell you the name of the movie, but I can tell you it's Navy SEALs versus zombies. So that was that. And then like I think maybe one time we were going somewhere. I think we might have been flying to Portland, Oregon for a World Horror Convention. And as we landed in the airport, my phone rang and it was him again. And he's like, I need you to write something, but I need it like within a week. And I'm like, I'm in Portland at a convention for like the next 4 days. I don't think I can give you 40,000 words in a week. But unless you can pay me a lot more money. He's like, no, it's just a standard rate. And in the meantime, there was another guy, at least one more person who was also writing books like this. Like it was not, like I was doing Miami Spy Games and he was doing like, I don't know, Tupelo Spy Game, whatever he was doing. San Diego Spy Games, whatever. And that guy got in touch with me. He's like, hey, I think we need to get more money out of them. You know, I'm writing these, but, and it turns out like we were making the same amount of money. Nobody was getting screwed, but his attitude was, I want more money. And I was like, that's fine. I'm fine with what they're paying me. I'm fine with it. I'm not going to rock the boat here. And then they're just going to go and find somebody else. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe this person rocked the boat and was replaced by somebody else. But then it all just stopped. But for me, it got me enough money to start to be able to do this for a living, you know, so it wasn't like, hey, you know, Dying Days was selling well, but it wasn't selling enough that I could have been like, you know, oh, I'm set for life on this. So that was kind of my introduction, I guess, to writing full time and having deadlines and knowing that people were depending on me and knowing that the money was good. The last chunk of money from that original, from the Russian zombie gun money was I was dating my wife now, and we had been dating for maybe 6 months. And she had before we met, she had a house, this house here, that was being built. And so she started trying to figure out furniture and different things. She's like, let's look at, I want to go out and look at televisions. We were on a date. And she's like, but I don't have the money for it. I can't afford it until I get paid in a couple weeks. I'm like, how much is this television? It was like $750. Yeah, give me this TV. And she's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm buying you this television. It's like the last bit of money I have from that Miami Spy games, because at the time that's what I had that money, and I was flush. I was good. I was still living in my parents' dining room, and everything was fine at that point. And she's like, if we break up, I'm keeping the television. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So we kept that television. Actually, maybe 2 years ago, we bought that was a 65-inch television. Then we went to a 75, but it was broken when we put it in. So we exchanged it for the 86-inch television. So I got an 86-inch television now. That's just bragging. That has absolutely nothing to do with movies. But there it is. There is my story of how I got involved. There's a lot more to the story I cannot say. There's a lot of things that I'm still probably not allowed to talk about. And that's it. I have not. I've had some bites on other things that have nothing to do with this movie company, where several people have taken flyers on some of my books or my short stories over the years, and they're paying me a little bit of money. And one of them just got renewed again automatically in January, which is nice. But other than that, yeah, I would love to get back into the whole movie thing. So who knows? Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Let me know if you've ever worked with any B-movie Hollywood companies, or if you that's a dream of yours, that's a bucket list item, or hey, I've seen one of those movies and they were awful, or I've seen one of those movies and they were great, or I've actually read one of those books and I really liked it. Whatever. All right. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the support, as always.